Good afternoon, folks. 12:06 p.m., October 15th, 2018. Pardon me. Let's try that again. October 15th, 2018, 12:06 p.m. So oil. There's some geopolitical muck this morning with Saudi Arabia and the U.S. I did get a trade last night. Actually, let me just take a peek here. So that was at open in futures last night. I missed the one this morning. The crew got the trade this morning, but that open last night, that was odd to actually trade right at open. I wasn't ready for that. By the way, I want to check this OOTT. I just want to search this quick and see if it's still doing this. Nope, wrong button. OOTT, search. Look at that, hey? So Epic Crude Oil algorithm on Twitter comes up in the first display box for OOTT. They're going to be pissed off about that. Anyway, what was I going to do? Oh yeah, oil alerts. That's funny. Yeah, that's what happened. So I was starting positions at 72.10. It had already been in its up move for about 5 minutes at that point, I think. Right at open last night in futures. Trimmed heavy into resistance at 72.50 on the model. So let's just look at that really quick, what happened here. You can see the 30-minute bar there. See, here's what happened. It took off when futures opened. 72.10 is right here. So it was a while. Up over that pivot is where I entered. So I just got that last part of the move in here. And it looked like it was going to break up in here. And I took another long after trimming at the main resistance. That was a, it wasn't a huge trade, but it was a nice way to start the week. And then I got caught on, a small position there for a little shave. So what was it here? 72.10. I trimmed at 72.50. Then I added above at 72.60, and I took a 5-cent shave. And then today, the trade I did miss, I was busy in pre-market, and the crew, Oil K, Shafiq, Sandeep, and a few others that reported to me. I know Justin was doing well on his metals, one of our newer members, which is awesome. So we're getting him to turn green side. His brain is starting to trigger wins, which is awesome. Congrats, Justin. But anyway, OK and the boys were in it here, and I didn't take their alert because I was just too busy. There was just no way. But anyway, 5 or 6 of the members, in fact, probably 8 or 9 of the members got that short right down into here, ideal. And since then, it's been mucking about, and that's what I expected in pre-market. So at this point, this down here is basically divergent noise. Your down channel support is right here. So this is just divergent noise. But when Trump's designate that's in Saudi Arabia right now comes out of his meeting and they start talking happiness, if that happens, then you can expect oil to dump. So I'll be watching this possible support. So here's what I would call support on the day, right in this region here, 7066. I'm going to go into all the other oil charts today. I think everybody has a pretty good handle on it. I'm going to focus on equities here after I finish up on oil, but I'm looking for a long in the support region. Now, if it really sells off, and it's vicious, I'll be careful about my longs. But I'm thinking along at the support on the week. As far as where oil is going to sit on the week, why don't we just take a look at a couple quick charts here. I had some questions that I haven't answered yet in private message. I may as well answer them right here. we have the time. Yeah, so congrats on that this morning. I wish I took that. I think it's pretty funny that when you search on Twitter OOTT that Epic comes up. That was not intentional. We'll probably take that hashtag out of Epic's header there. Okay. Well, let's look at a couple charts here. Positioning on the week should be short-term short. Overall, I'm definitely long biased on oil or midterm. Just a quick summary for those that don't know, because there are a few new members in the room. I expect equities to come under serious pressure the next 2 months. I've been screaming about that for a few months. I expect oil to get divergent to the bullish side. It would have to get up and over these trend lines in here, over 75, well, let's call it 76, and all kinds of things can happen up in this range. But for now, we're in here, so I'll blow this up. Anyway, my bias is to, for the next 6 months, is for oil to get really bullish, much more than we've seen. The timing on that might be in and around December. There's a big volatility time cycle coming in mid-December to late December, so this peak here in December makes sense. You can see how it tested this upper trend line. Had I been paying attention to that, that would have been an obvious short. Man, how did I miss that? You know, while we're here, why don't we do this? I'm going to alert these trend lines. Dang it. That would have been a great short. Anyway, so it looks like early December is the peak, unless it breaks through, and I'm expecting it to break through. What was that date there? So this is right around December 10th. Looks like the peak. But I am expecting a break to the upside. So I've alarmed that one, I've alarmed that one. I may as well alarm this one on the bottom here while I'm at it. Can't believe I didn't have these alarmed. You know, you get so busy. So anyway, this is the range you're in. This is a weekly chart. You know, if you just traded the ranges of these trend lines, you'd do really well for swings. Anyway, so that's the weekly. So obviously, you know, you're higher than the midpoint, but it's been buying the bottoms here, trending up all the way. So that would put, you know, approximately the 69.50 area, maybe a little lower, 69 areas as support, relative support in this trade area on this specific chart, the trend line chart for the weekly. It's trading 71.34 right now. So anyway, let's I'm going to take some notes here. So let's call it 69. And I said I wasn't going to go through the oil charts, but you know what? I remembered I have 3 or 4 people asking me questions, and we may as well just deal with them. We do have the time. This chart I really like. So this is a basic algorithmic model chart that shows some symmetry. And symmetry for me is a big deal in the work that I do. It's made me a lot of money when I'm on top of the charts and watching them. Now, you know, part of my job is to just make sure you're prepared. So as long as, you know, I've prepared you with this, it doesn't become as important that I nail the trade, but it would be nice to alert them. I think soon I'll ask a few folks maybe to help me with alerts that are consistently winning in oil. I know Sandeep, Shafiq, and Oil K for sure are doing well. There's a few others. Specific to oil. So you have 2 options in this symmetry. Time cycle. So see here, this is interesting, right? The time cycle is very similar. So this is November 18th. So this is only a week or two on the daily. The time cycle comes due a week or two before the one on the weekly. And when you're dealing with weekly charts, I mean, you got to give it a week or two on either side, you know, because your lines just might be a little off. So this is concurring. Anyway, the downside would be 67.50. The upside is 79. So 67.50 and 79. So if we go back to this one, the downside I had figured around 69, but you know, that was a guess. 67.50 is close enough. So that's concurring. And up here, you know, 76 is your high. That says 79. It's already hit the 77 region. 79 puts it up in here. So that would infer a spike through. And the thing in the structured time cycles, when you get a spike through that, you can expect at least one full extension move. You know, so if I was going to simplify it, you know, and this is Sesame Street work, but you just go like this as an extension, and then you pull that up here, and you get 86 bucks. And if I was to give you a guess, that would be my guess. And that would come in March, end of March 2019. And I wouldn't doubt that for a second. Interesting, hey? Now Trump's going to try and talk down oil, so we'll see. But to be clear, end of November, your two choices are either 67.50 or call it 80. And then here, you know, if we extend a little further on the symmetry, we got 86.80 in January. A little further in the symmetry would bring you up into the 93 range end of March. 92, 93. And this one brings you into same time period, you know, 87 area. I wouldn't doubt it. And that's just, you know, some simple trajectory, some simple symmetry, simple trend line work. Nothing fancy about that work. But, you know, keeping it simple keeps it real. Here's the daily chart, simple model on oil. So, because I'm going through all these charts right now, talk about a double-minded dude, eh? I'm going to first thing I'm going to do tonight is get this video out for members that aren't in the room. So on the daily, here's one of my main reasons for being short-term bearish, and that's the MACD. It's a super simple indicator on oil when you talk about keeping it simple. It's also under this pivot, this uptrending pivot on the daily chart. It challenged it on Friday. It hit the 20 MA, came off, and here we sit. It's over mid-quad support. It's a decent support. This chart is one of the better charts if you're trading, you know, if you want to bias on the day. It's pretty easy to get a read on. Anyway, the MACD tells me short. I wouldn't doubt that you see it down, you know, down in here before it works up. But, you know, Trump and the geopolitical stuff is going to tell you the story. So this is right around 69.41-ish, first week of November. So that dollar figure concurs. We'll see. This is a little funky to give you exact numbers on. The top of the trading box is 68.30 area. and that could hit 13th of November-ish. Yeah. So those are your upside and downside decisions. I think it's down first and then up for a ride. The down, I'm thinking in the 69 area on that chart. We could see the down here in the 67, 50, 68 area. Down here is in the 69 area. There's a major pivot in that 67 area. So that could be the play. It might be down in here, you know, and Trump's talk might do that. Give it enough pressure to get down in here and then go, and that would bring it into the 200 MA too for its next run. See how it ran off the 200 here? It's a major extension there. It's a double extension. So if I had to lay my bet down right now, that'd be my bet. Pressure into the mid 68s into mid-November and then go again ish, because that depends where that 200 MA is sitting too. It's obviously responding to the 200 MA on the daily. That's my guess. Now here's our wedge chart, the weekly wedge. And I bet you those guys at OOTT are just peeved about Epic coming up #1 on the search on Twitter for OOTT. Whoops. Whoops. Okay, so here's our wedge. So it certainly looks like this is in play here. So on our wedge, same thing, right? 68.50 area. End of October, so a little earlier than the other charts. Now if I had to guess, it's not, well, good. Between end of October and mid-November. I wouldn't doubt, you know, the trading box there is 69.95. Support. So it certainly looks like it's going to come into the basket here. We'll see. But there's going to be all kinds of support on all these charts as it gets into that area. That's, the shorts will get just murdered in there. The probability of anything less than that on all these charts is very, very limited. There would have to be some kind of really bearish craziness. Something really crazy without going on bearish-wise. Maybe some massive builds in crude. Saudi Arabia apparently could release a whack if they wanted to. Pretty technical way, a whack. Okay, between the 200 and the 100 MA on the monthly. So I don't know if you remember or not, but when we first entered this zone, I said, you know, for months we should be sideways, and sure enough, that's what's happened. I hate to be that, you know, I told you so guy, but it's my job to give you guidance, and look at that. So the pivot here is in that 69.50 range here too. Stochastic RSI turned down. MACD still up. Squeeze momentum looks good. So I would say that this is the decision time between now and the end of November for oil, whether it breaks up or breaks down. So just like when we entered this area early into this area, I was saying, you know, we should be here for a number of months. I'm saying we should break out now, sometime before the end of November. Very likely end of October, first week in November. We'll break up or break down. And my bias is to the up. And if it breaks up, then I would strongly suggest 92 for April next year. The other chart said 89 for March. on a full extension, or sorry, 80, 86 and a half, 87s. And you know that would bring 1, 2, 3, 4 steps, which makes sense. We had 1, 2, 3, almost 4 steps here. 4 steps in oil on this model is very reasonably affected. That would keep symmetry in play. So if we just went with trajectory on this mid pivot here into that time frame, end of November, you know, you would be in your mid trade would be in the 74.81 range. So that makes sense too, because you know it would pivot around it, right? You'd get up into these areas here, up into the near 80 range. So that all makes sense. It's all structured for that move. On the weekly wedge, to that time frame, you could see, there you go, your 79s. It's all really structured now. Your big time cycle peak is going to be December 10th region. I'm pretty confident in that because you can see how this this weekly high hit that trend line perfect and backed off. These candle bodies on these weeks are in the right place. Same there. I think this is pretty accurate. So it's going to be, you know, somewhere between the last week of November and the second week of December. That comes in perfectly with the volatility and market time cycles we're seeing. It's going to get fun. So I'm going to try and crystal ball this and tell you that you know, this is possible down here into the end of November, but you're probably only going to see half of a move here. So crystal ball into the end of October, at most we're going to see down, and then we're going up into that mid-December. That's my crystal ball guess, unless somehow Trump knocks it down underneath this trading box, and that would send it down for a move for sure. But it would have to get under 63, call it 64, 63, 64. Anything over 63, 64, and we're going for that move into December, into 80s to 90s. Or sorry, that'd be March. December, early January would be in 86. Into December, you're in the 83s. You're going to find resistance, pretty heavy resistance here at 83.13. So yeah, they all concur. Really clean, super clean. Really structured. And even these candles here, these resistance, that are going to be resistance candles on a move up over the 100 MA on the monthly, concur with the figures. Nice. So hopefully we do get that pressure into the end of October. We get a nice spring to work off of. Right in that 70.46 range. So that's not very far down. It's trading 71.44 now. It hit 70.83 earlier today. So then if we take that one, go back to Epic's model, that translates into here. So October 19th is right here, this Friday. So the basket right here in this quad on Friday. If that's all going to play out, this is your inflection. So just to highlight that, Now I see why members were asking me to dig into this here. This is your basket down in here. That should be, you should see this as your inflection point here. This is it, guys and gals. This is it. I think that's what I'll title my video for tonight. This is it. I think it's pinned. I think we got it pinned down. So you'll probably see happiness after the Saudi meeting. You'll see pressure probably into here, and then it's time to go into next year. We'll see. If you see pressure beyond that to the lower side, at most one more quad down. I mean, you could see into this. It's very typical for it to bounce off this midline, 69. I'd bring it into 69.10 area. But I can tell you the probabilities are to the bias that I'm giving you. And that's our oil review. That was a lot of review considering I wasn't going to look much at it. So I'll get this video out tonight. I'll make sure that members that aren't in the room right now get the benefit of it also. I hope I'm right. I'm sure I am. Probabilities are probably in the neighborhood of 7 or 8 to 1 on the fact that that's right, just because it all lines up in all the charts. All the structure is the same. Now, some of it, I'm taking a little bit of, in here, sure, in a sell-off, you've got support. It doesn't come in until 65. So you could see more downside than what I'm speaking. Now, you can take everything I just said, and you could make it the opposite too, right? So in this time cycle here, if it dumps under 65, then there's serious pressure. But if you know the potential move to the upside, you can just mirror that to the downside within the time cycles that I was kind of giving you the inflection dates there. And that's how you handle your time cycles too. Okay, so I'm going to take a 1-minute break, and then I'm going to come back and do the equities.